Welcome back to Tech Take. I'm Adam Housley in Los Angeles. You know, I was searching the web today using a couple of different search engines, and it just didn't seem like I was finding everything I wanted to find. And then we come out with a new report in Popular Science talking about how Google and other search engines really only scratch the surface when it comes to search. In fact, there's a whole deep, dark part of the web that's harder to get to. You can find it in this month's episode of Popular Science. And here is to join us live is Lindsey. She's the assistant editor of Popular Science. She's from our studios in New York. You can find her at Lindsey Krat. That's K-R-A-T. Also, popsci.com is the website. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But Lindsey, I have to tell you, I was looking at the article, and you know, we always wonder. At least I've always wondered. I mean, it seems like I can't find what I'm looking for, but really, when you look at your guys' article and read into it, I mean, I'm just talking about a few things here and there, but there's some deep, dark stuff that can be found on the internet.
Yeah, in the April issue of Popular Science, we excerpted a book from Mark Goldman, and he has this book called Future Crimes, and in it he talks about the deep web and the dark web. And so as you mentioned, when you're Googling something, you only really get a little bit of the internet. That's the surface web. Google only crawls about 16% of the surface web, and that's only 0.03% of all of the web out there. So beyond that, there's the deep web, which can include things as mundane as, you know, LexisNexis and the Patent Office databases, things that require a password or paywall or special software to access. And then inside that, there's also the dark web, which is where some little seedy, nefarious things happen.
Yeah, in fact, you know, you guys put together a list, I should say, and we have a graphic to show our folks at home on some of the things you can buy online once you get into that deep, dark web. Everything from drugs, counterfeit currency, forged papers, firearms, ammunition, and explosives, hitmen, human organs. I mean, some pretty gruesome stuff in some respects.
Yeah, it's definitely a place where people who want to buy things not out in the open will go. There's a lot of anonymizing that goes on. Your name isn't attached to things. You use things like cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin, in order to hide your transactions. So it's definitely a place where you go to buy things you wouldn't buy on the surface web.
Yeah, there's some ways to make internet crime work. In fact, we have put together another list. Well, you guys did the list. We've actually made it easier for those at home to see it. Everything from cryptocurrency, as you know, that's becoming more popular, bulletproof web hosting services, cloud computing, crimeware, hackers for hire, just some of the things. Also, how do you access the deep, dark web? I thought was also interesting because, you know, it seems like when I'm looking for something simple like a Chase Lounge and I can't find it on Google, that's nothing compared to some of the more dangerous and illegal things. So you can use anonymizing browsers, secret search engines, criminal wikis, hidden chat rooms. So obviously there's a lot of ways to make it more difficult for people to find you if you're trying to do something that's not necessarily legal.
Yeah, a lot of people will use an anonymizing browser such as Tor to access the dark web. And so that instead of, you know, just a normal interaction between a computer and a server, that will sort of muddle the interaction a little bit, bounce off a bunch of different servers so that it's harder to find. It encrypts the information so that the people who are looking for you to try to track you down are not knowing who you are and where you are.
And also the people that are selling it, I assume, as well, right?
Yeah, the people who are selling things that have services, they will go through certain measures to hide who they are. So they'll use web hosting services that don't require a name attached. And in places like Russia or Ukraine that don't comply with subpoenas, they can easily hide who they are.
I mean, this is some pretty deep, dark, dangerous stuff. I mean, this isn't playing around. This isn't, you know, having fun with somebody. I mean, you mentioned in the article, and as we've seen by reading it and looking through it, I mean, human organs, explosives. I mean, these are things that obviously would be very concerning to a lot of Americans.
Yeah, and I mean, like any place, the surface web can also have really dangerous things and really terrible things. They just get taken down a little bit quicker, and they're a little bit more out in the open. But the dark web can be used for good as well. A lot of people use it as a way to communicate. It anonymizes your communication, so you don't have to worry about getting tracked down if you're spying for good reasons or if you're trying to blow the whistle on someone. And a lot of people in countries that will block certain sites, will use it to access things like Facebook. So there's the good and there's the bad. Unfortunately, sometimes the bad is just a little bit more bad on the dark web.
Yeah, you mentioned protecting sources and that kind of thing. We obviously have learned a lot about that in the last couple of years here at Fox News with some of our colleagues and those who have been covering some somewhat controversial stories. Lindsey, we appreciate you coming on. Now, if you want to find out more, you can find out on Popular Science website, or also, of course, you can buy the recent magazine that's in stores now on shelves. The website is popsci.com. You also can follow Lindsey on Twitter at Lindsey Krat, K-R-A-T. And we appreciate you coming on from New York, telling us about the deep, dark web, and obviously we'll be keeping a lookout for it.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Adam Housley in Los Angeles, and you're watching Tech Take.